Like and subscribe, people. Like and subscribe. I am celebrating. Welcome to my channel. First of all, welcome to my channel, all about music and other things. My new series is all about music. I'm also a YouTube comedian, musician, ranter, reviewer. I'm a jack of all trades. I'm literally a real life jack of all trades, master of none, right? That's a good TV show. I was doing some online dating. One of the online dates, we went back to her place and watched Master of None. It was a good TV show. The date was okay. We had, neither one of us heard back from each other. I'll just leave it at that. We had one good date. You don't need a good second date, right? You just need a good first date. You don't need... Second dates are overrated. Anyway, single life forever. Anyway, today's video I'm very excited about. I am celebrating 5,000 views. Very exciting. I'm hoping I've started getting some momentum going on here, and I hope that you guys like and subscribe, or at least dislike. Give me something. Disagree with me on everything. I know my opinions are not popular, so you guys argue with me, okay? Argue with me. Today we're going to be talking about the autobiography of Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it's called Acid for the Children. And I was initially, when I first heard this was coming out, you can get some good closer looks at this. When I first heard that it was coming out, I wanted to read it. I was very interested. Scar Tissue by Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, one of my favorite books of all time. It will forever have a place on my bookshelf. However, I had heard some things that discouraged me from checking out Acid for the Children. And it was basically, Flea has been in the Red Hot Chili Peppers for, 40 years now. How could that not be a huge part of his autobiography? And I was concerned. I read that it was a stream of consciousness. It jumped around from time period to time period. And it does. It is and it does. And there is very little in the way of Red Hot Chili Peppers information. So that scared me. I initially didn't want to buy it, but during lockdown, I needed something to do. I needed something to read, and this was something that was interesting, right? This is one of the more interesting book releases during lockdown that I could think of to get, to keep me busy and keep me entertained, to keep me out of trouble. And you know what? I was initially annoyed that there was not much about the band, but Flea addresses this in this book where he talks about he didn't want to make just another, sex and drugs, rock and roll autobiography. There's enough of those, and there really is. I've read a lot of those, and they're interesting. Some of them are interesting. Some of them are just annoying because there are so many. And this does a good job at, this is a look at Flea's pre-Red Hot Chili Peppers days, which, like I said, you would imagine that wouldn't be a lot because he's been in Red Hot Chili Peppers a long time. But Flea was his life from birth up until his teenage years. It was interesting nonetheless. And he's got a very strong narrative voice here. For someone, I don't think he's written any other novels that have been released. And this is a very good writing. You can tell that he's not a professional, but he is entertaining to read. I'm not sure who edited this, but it was done very well. It starts with his birth, and it goes up to his teenage years where he starts hanging out with the people that would become his band members. And some of them are alive and some of them have passed on. But this is very good. This is a picture of him on the front smoking a joint. I believe he's in Australia there, where he spent a lot of time with his parents, and eventually just his dad. Him and his mom moved to the United States. But let's just dive right into this. So we're going to read you a little bit of the intros. This is kind of an expensive book, but I got a good deal on eBay. I did get scammed the first time. The seller just kind of vanished with no nothing. I got my money back. So, the iconic bassist and co-founder of Red Hot Chili Peppers tells his fascinating origin story, complete with all the dizzying heights and the gutter lows you'd want from an LA street rat turned world-famous rock star. Now, see here, they're trying to market this as a book about a rock star. It's not. It's about a man that was born, and it's about his birth through his adolescence. Okay, so in Acid for Children, Flea takes readers on a deeply personal and revealing tour of his formative years, spanning from Australia to the New York City suburbs and finally to Los Angeles. Through hilarious anecdotes, yes, poetical meditations, yes, and occasional flights of fantasy, yep, Flea deftly chronicles the experiences that forged him as an artist, a musician, and a young man. I won't read the whole thing to you, but I found it interesting, and it was a little bit disheartening at first, Flea's strong dislike of rock and roll. That was very disturbing because you're reading a rock and roll autobiography that breaks all the rules. It's kind of cool, right? But he didn't like rock. He didn't like punk. He didn't like alternative. He didn't like heavy metal. He hated it. He felt like it was stupid. He felt like it was below him because his parents and his stepdad, everybody in his household was obsessed with jazz, and they were jazz snobs. They didn't listen to anything else, and at first you're like, wow, he just hates rock and roll. How is this going to go? And punk rock is my favorite type of rock and roll, and he hated it. He hated punk rock. He hated the hard rock. He hated rock and roll. But you see, he has good reasons for it. He felt like it was a little lowbrow compared to the jazz masters of yore, and so you finally get to see where he's hanging out with all these rockers and all these punk rockers and alternative lifestyle people, and he starts to gradually kind of understand what they're doing, and he kind of sees where his jazz musicianship and his saxophone playing can come into that and play a significant part in that. So that's interesting. And he had some really valid points about not fitting into the punk rock scene. He saw a lot of negativity in the LA punk rock scene, and when the Nazis got involved, yeah, that kind of ruins it, right? No matter what kind of club you're in, no matter what kind of group you're in, if Nazis start gravitating towards it, maybe it's time to bounce, right? It's definitely time to bounce. And there were some cool stories in here about how the punk rockers kind of fought off the incoming takeover of the punk scene by skinheads and Nazis. And the punk rock scene definitely pushed against that, as they should have. Nazis shouldn't be welcome anywhere. I know it's a free country, it's a free world, but Nazis, come on, get out of here, man. We don't want none of your crap. Okay, peace, love, right? We're all about peace, love here. Children taking acid, not a good idea. But so here we get a lot of personal details about Flea. A lot of hiking, a lot of just listening to music, And just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to listen to. It was a quick read, coming in at, it's not that many pages. If you're a reader, you get some influences, but it's, it's about 400 pages. So nice, light, quick read of an autobiography, and it ends on a cliffhanger. Spoiler alert, it ends in a way that I hope that he writes another one where it actually is the rock and roll story, but maybe with, the twist that Flea gives to it. I really enjoyed it. I felt like he came across as a nice guy who wasn't trying to portray himself as a nice guy. There was a lot of, drug use. There was a lot of crime. There was a lot of breaking into stores and people's houses and jumping off roofs and jumping into swimming pools. And but Flea kind of acknowledges that maybe he was not, maybe he was doing bad things, but he tried to make those things right, whether it be at the time or later in his life. And overall, it seems like he is a genuinely nice man, and he's grown into a very spiritual and healthy older man. And I actually, you can definitely look up to the person in this book for all their flaws and insecurities. They definitely made a success story out of what could have been a very sad life with families that just didn't work as a family unit, didn't have a lot of emotional connections between each other. Let me read the back of this real quick. I'm not going to go into super depth because I am not a literary critic on here, although I do love some of you guys that do some book reviews. Absolutely love you guys. But this, there once was a small blonde Australian boy. He loved his dog. Life picked him up and shook him all around, stumbling and bumbling, blindfolded and searching. He fell in love with the truly beautiful things. Sweethearts warmed him with their love glow. Other hearts failed him. Feeling disconnected, out into the streets he ran, looking for relief. In the process, he did things to dim his own heart light. A cold darkness of fear grew within. But in that scary place, music, the voice of God, spoke, telling him to share his voice on this earth. He was swept up in the glory. Flea. And that, I think that wraps it up better than this jargon at the beginning about rock star excess in the New York City suburbs of the Los Angeles in the 70s and 80s, the gritty, glorious, this nice little spiritual poem at the back. That's more what this book is about than this little, this little insert. But yeah, overall, one of the better books that I've read in the last year or so. Highly suggest it. Definitely would recommend reading anything by any of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like I said, Anthony Kiedis' Scar Tissue, while it was sort of the typical rock and roll story, had a lot. It was very well written, very well read, had a lot of cool pictures in it, and it was just a lot of fun to read. So we will. Let me see. I'm going to show you guys some pictures real quick, and then we're gonna move on to some other things. I have so much to share. I have so much in my life, in my musical life, to share with you guys. But check out, here's some cool early pictures. Okay, very cool, right? 1938. This is going back. Check it out. Some of these family photos. I want you guys to go out and check it out for yourself. Flea, oh man, him and his sister had a cool relationship. Check this one out. Embarrassing pictures. Oop, giant rat. I think that's what a wallaby? Kangaroo? I don't know. Australia is cool. Yearning. That's pretty cute, right? So yeah, he had a really wild. You guys want to see some? Here's some Chili Peppers related pictures, right? Okay. So yeah, just a really fun read. I wouldn't give it a perfect score just because it is, it is missing some major parts of his life. But again, this is here's him and his dad. That's really cool that eventually they were able to kind of have a relationship of some kind. So again, this is Acid for the Children by Flea. The title is in the story. There's a bit of a Flea is anti-drug, nowadays, but he did take acid as a child, and it did inform a lot of his beliefs. So, if you like to read and you like music and you like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, give this one a pass. Maybe I bought this one off eBay. It's a little bit hard to find on the internet at the time, like a few months ago. But yeah, highly recommend it. Very good, very nice looking book. So if you want to read about rock and roll, check this one out. I've got Pete Townshend's autobiography coming in the mail, so I'm excited about that. Love the Who. Gonna check out his solo material a little bit more in the coming time period. Until then, I hope everybody, you guys are watching. I'm getting a lot of watches, but you guys aren't subscribing. And I don't think I'm talking about liking and subscribing enough. Liking and subscribing. Liking and subscribing. Like. Subscribe. You don't have to watch it. Just subscribe. Either watch and subscribe and like. Just do all three of those things all the time and we'll be okay. Okay? I promise I will, I'm going to keep doing content. I'm going to keep doing content, guys. I'm going to keep building this channel up. I'm going to be like Review Bra. I'm going to be like Alonzo Larone. I'm going to be like Anthony Fantano or Pete Pardo. Those are some of Crash Thompson. Those are some of my favorite YouTubers. So, keep on, supporting them. And, eventually you will support me, right? I'm going to be a multi-trillionaire on YouTube. So you guys have a good whatever this is. I think it's about lunchtime here. I'm gonna go. Maybe I'll do some food reviews. Right? I'll be the next Review Bra. Report of the week. No.